As far as injuries go, no changes from what I said last night. A-Rob has a hamstring, so we'll continue to work through that, and then Hicks with an ankle. So nothing there. We'll, having the bye week to be able to get them healthy and see where they're at. But that's where we're at with there. There's no other changes or updates from any of the other injuries that we had going into the week or anybody. No change with the IR. Watching the film, seeing the game, I think the stating the obvious, you lose the game, it's always tough. When you look at where we were as a team in those phases, we talked all week about getting turnovers and takeaways, protecting and respecting the football. Cam Hayward made a great play on the three-step, tip pass. We knew he did it all year long and made a nice tip pass and interception. So that was big. Good play by them. And then for us to, I look at really, the penalties is huge. Lots of penalties. We had, I think 16 called, 12 for 115 yards. And so, you look at that and we know that there's a lot of yards in there that we got to be more disciplined. We got to be better there. That starts with me. Slow start on offense in the first half. We had some false starts. The first half we had that red zone drive. We were 0 for 1 with the field goal and had 3 points, obviously, there. No takeaways on defense and special teams. We lost that fumble. Now the good thing is we ended up getting that big score, which was good. I think the positives is we had that special teams touchdown. The moment that we discussed where we were able to claw back into the game, like I said last night, and have that chance to be able to give Justin an opportunity to go down. And it's one of those moments where you really, all of us as a kid growing up, you live for those moments, and you never know how people are going to react. And I said last night, that smile that I saw on his face, it was neat to see because it just gives everybody confidence. And it was almost like he knew that was going to happen. And then when you watch it on tape and you see kind of how it got started, how that drive went, hindsight always 20/20. We say, shoot, we wish we would have maybe not scored so fast and given a little bit less time. But at that point in time, I think you all would agree that, we want to score whenever we can and get touchdowns. So I was proud of him for that moment. I think that's a big moment for him. I thought for the game with him offensively that he really, again, he grew with his decision-making. He had several, what I quote as special plays, and the one that stands out to me was the one down the seam to Jimmy Graham. That throw he made to Jimmy Graham, just so we're real clear, that's probably a top 3 throw in the NFL this season. With who he had in his face, the way he threw it, the accuracy, the timing, etc. That's a special, rare throw. When you see those throws, you get excited. And, so I thought that you feel that. And we have more explosives on offense. We have more explosives. We had we're growing in that area. So those are the positives. Defensively, I thought for a lot of the game, you look at that team and, you hold them to whatever it was, 4.1 yards per play. We didn't get the takeaways. We had them low score, not a lot of yards, but gave up points, and lost the game. And then offensive line, I thought, did a good job throughout the game against a really pretty good front there with Watt and Hayward and the rest of those guys. Highsmith, one of our better games in pass pro. So those guys, so we grew there with the offensive line, and we got hits on Ben. So that's in times like this, I know we lost. We're 3-6, not fun, but we want to be able to also look at how we can grow from that and get this bye week and get back at it. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up.
Matt, with the progress that Justin Fields has made and is making, do you feel better about the plan to go with him and go away from the Andy Dalton plan, which he started the season with?
Yeah, I think that he's done Justin has, you think back to his first start in Cleveland, and that hostile environment, great defense, first start on the road, and also us as coaches building and formulating a game plan for him, not necessarily knowing exactly what was going to be his strengths heading into that game. We feel a lot different now. We feel better as to the types of plays we're putting in that fit him, that fit our offense, trying to find that match and that balance. the last 2 weeks, his decision making and timing has been really, really good. And then he's taking shots downfield, which is great. We're not hitting on all of them, but just when you still take those downfield, they can't sit on you all the time, you know. So, but then you get to these moments too, these critical parts of the game that you've seen back-to-back weeks now that he's making plays. And I think what you're feeling and seeing is a guy that's getting more and more confidence, not just by every game, but by every play. The game is getting a little slower for him on defense. He's seeing things. Guys around him are making plays, and we had 58 plays, 7.1 yards per play. We were balanced, 136 yards rushing, 278 passing. We want more of that, and I think we can do that for sure. So we just got it now. The big part is, okay, as a team, the 3 phases, right? Offense, defense, special teams, being able to work together so that we don't start slow on offense in the first half and get better in the second half and then flip it. We got to put all that together like we did earlier in the year with a few games.
You're 3-6, but you've got a legitimate quarterback prospect in place. A lot of Bears fans, frankly, who don't worry about your job, would say that's not the worst situation to be in. So big picture-wise, how do you feel about that situation where you have a quarterback who's like ready for takeoff?
Yeah.
Seems to outweigh the bad, being 3-6 and a long shot for the playoffs.
Well, I mean, we always start with where we're at right now as a team, and like you said, being 3-6, our guys, it stings. You're in that locker room last night, and it hurts. And you get to a point where, okay, here we are. We lost 4 games. The only way to regroup and get back together is to stay together. We get away here for a little bit with the bye week, and of course, we like every NFL team, you got a challenging schedule coming up, but the only thing that we can do is win that first one, which we've been saying for a few weeks now. So you have that part. At the same point in time, part of winning is having a quarterback like Justin as a rookie who continues to grow, and I think that's where you start getting into, okay, the future for Justin and where he's going to be and what he can do moving forward. He's showing right now to all of us what he's about as a rookie. He's a rookie. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be times in the huddle where maybe the tempo's not great. There's going to be a decision here or there because he hasn't had all those reps. That's going to happen. But the excitement for us is knowing and feeling really good about what he's going to be with his future. So the 2-part question is for us right now, as me as the head coach and the leader, I got to make sure that we all understand that the number one thing we got to do is win, right? And however we do that, part of that is by having great play at the quarterback position, but by having great defense, getting takeaways, turnovers, and special teams, putting it all together. That's where we got to be better.
But do you get that to some people, Justin's development is more important than making the playoffs?
I understand. Well, when you go up and draft a quarterback as high as we did, I totally understand the significance in seeing growth with the future. You want to be able to see that. You don't want to see the other way. So the excitement of being able to see Justin put together games like he's doing right now is exciting for all of us, everybody. But at the same point in time, we understand what our goal is as a team, right? And Justin's a big part of that. And that's winning so that we can win and see growth with him.
We talked to Cassius yesterday after the game. He said he thought it was inappropriate. He said he was hip checked by Tony Correni as he was running off the field. When you guys looked at the film, what's your take on that? Do you think it was intentional?
So I say with that last night, I mean, number one, there was obviously a lot of penalties, and the number one thing that we talked about this morning and that we believe and understand as coaches is that's no excuse in any case for us losing the game. It's something that in that moment you have to be super careful of being in the gray with this new rule, with the taunting. And any gray that you give them, they can make a decision on it, right? And it can be subjective, and that's part of the rule. It is what it is. I also say it's a very emotional game at an emotional time in the game. And so, you have that balance of somebody that's fighting their ass off to make a play and who makes a play and is excited. That's a part. Isn't that part of loving the game, man? You get passion, fire, fun, right? That's a part of the game. But when you're in the gray, then it can there can be consequences. And I think that's the balance of us teaching that, understanding the emphasis, and that's the decision, that they make. the tough part is that he made a great play in that moment, and it's getting overshadowed by that. And I think that's the learning tool.
And when he's leaving the field, though, he bumps into
Right.
Karenni. Did you find that to be intentional?
With
On Tony's part, I mean, conscious that he got hit.
again, I think both of them are, it's in the moment. They're both doing their thing. I don't see anything intentional through both of them.
The first red zone opportunity for Jimmy, I think he had a 4x1.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys have been waiting to get to for a while? And then you just need a little more arc on that throw, or could you talk me through that play?
Sure. No, we have the ability to get to that play, and we like if we like the matchup and we see it, and Jimmy is a guy that probably has more red zone fade touchdowns than most tight ends or wide receivers in this league. So those guys work through their timing in the throw. Hayden made a good play. I thought the throw was good. I thought Jimmy's attempt to catch it was good. That's one of those football plays where Justin went to where we wanted him to throw it, and they made a good play. So that's a part of the game, and I know most of those times Jimmy will come down with those. But I'm more than good with the type of throw it was with not as much air on it.
Go back to penalties. When you look at the 65-yarder by Cairo Santos,
Yeah.
they look offsides to you, the Steelers, on the right side of the line.
Like I said, I know what I saw with that, and I'll leave it at that.
Are you going to turn in a couple of the flags or non-flags this week?
We have a process every week, with how we're able to submit anything that we see, because a lot of it too is like teaching for us too. There's a lot of rules that we're learning too as we go, and you see, okay, and you watch them always in the off season. The refs do a great job of coming in and teaching us. But yeah, there's certainly some that in this process this week that I'll have, and I'll be looking forward to getting those answers.
You don't ever truly get any satisfaction from that process.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I mean it's no comment.
Well, I mean, what's the best case scenario? We blew it?
I'll say no comment to any of that. That's where yeah.
Kind of along those lines, but we asked you about the times that Justin seemed to get hit after the play. Are there conversations you can have with the league or with officials leading into a game, leading into a week, just to understand like what's going on, so that those things? I mean, because again, I'm just talking player safety for one thing. I mean, like, could that process be like to get him into a position where, yes, he's a running quarterback, but you also want to see him get protected by the officials and those
Yeah, I think he is when you are outside and you're running and you become a target and a quarterback, and the game again. Understanding how fast this game goes, right? It's quick, it's fast down there on the field, and so, for a lot of these referees, it's not easy to see the bang bang and how it goes, and so that's a part of it. And I think if we're quite honest with everybody, there's going to be some that they get right and some that they don't get right. In the general scheme of things, you want to always make sure that that it's that way, that it's right like that. So it's hard. It's not easy. And, again, I think I look at it from our perspective, and it's very important for us to understand, like from our team perspective, there's a bunch of those, where we got to be better with making sure we don't give free yards, whether it's an offsides or whether it's a false start, the ones that are pretty simple to see. Those are the ones where I feel like, hey, we gotta tighten that up and get better there. And, we got to be better for sure in that area.
Are your players off till Monday?
Are they off? Yes, they're off till Monday.
Do you think veteran quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt on those roughing calls more than a young quarterback would?
Are you trying to trick me into an answer? No comment on that.
I know you guys are going to try and continue to win every game left on your schedule. But at some point, do you start to look towards the future to try and answer some questions for next year? And I'm not talking about like draft position or I know you're going to try to win all the games, but in terms of player development, for example, when Tevin Jenkins is healthy, does he get all the snaps at tackle so you can try and find out if he and Larry are your long-term answers there, even though you have a guy like Jason Peters? And that's just one example, but if you start to look that way.
Well, what we'll do is we'll always, because I think it's a great question, I understand it, but what we'll do is the best part of getting guys back is that it creates depth for us. And you see, like, injuries come up, and we kind of went through a little bit of that with getting thin at some positions. So now these guys that do come back, they got to get back into conditioning shape. They got to get back into the mental side of it. So we'll always do, what we feel is best for the team at whatever position that is. And I just love the fact that we do have depth and we're in a position right now. But at the same point in time, the number one objective we're always going to look for is making sure we're doing whatever we need to do to win, by that. But also, too, like you look at a guy like Larry Borum. He's come in the last 2 weeks. He's had to face Bosa and Watt. And, yesterday we had 3 sacks, right? Where I think Watt had 3 sacks. It was an RPO, a naked, and a quick game ball out coverage sack, So our that's why I say when our offensive line played better, you have to be able to have a plan for Watt. He's special. But that's why last night I didn't feel it as much because some of those were, it was like he made a great play on the bootleg. He went right for the apex of the quarterback. Great play. That's not on the tackle. On the RPO, it's not on the tackle, right? On the quick game. So that's where I feel like that's one example. That offensive line played pretty well last night against a formidable front, so we want to keep growing there.
Go back to
Factor in your own, when you're trying to balance those two things, so future development and winning today.
Yeah.
Do you factor in your own job security into that equation?
No. Nope. When you keep it super simple and you say, winning is good, right? That's what you want. However we get to that point with whoever it is, that's where your assistant coaches, myself, your coordinators, you all got to talk through that and say, okay, where are we at? Who's best for us? Is that spot? Let's roll.
Getting back to Justin Fields' development, going into the bye week, how do you want him to approach the bye week? Is there any specific homework you have or focuses for him, or do you want him to get away from the game a little bit?
Well, he's not going to want to get away from the game, which I love that about him. What Flip we discussed this morning is putting together a plan for how we want him to attack. This will be his first bye week, right, going through something like this. So we'll have him go ahead and we'll probably have him watch self-scout of where we're at, his growth of where he's at, be able to watch some defenses. Obviously, he'll be prepping a lot on Baltimore, which is great, too, to be able to get a good feel for that. Really great defense. But Coach Flip and Coach Laser will have some nice stuff for him, and I think he'll be excited to really attack it. I mean, again, for Justin to get through and do what he did yesterday in that second half, I think like right now, these past 2 games, he kind of feels that ball rolling the right way. You know what I mean? Like he's got some momentum going. He feels that. So now he's probably going to be super excited to get right back at it and get going. At the same point in time, we stress to all these guys, it's a long year. Get right mentally, right? Get your bodies back physically, and let's go, let's see what happens with the second part of this year.
Cole's production has gone up considerably over the past couple weeks. I think he just reached his totals from last year. Just what are you seeing from him as you enter the bye week here? You've mentioned before how hard that position is to learn at this level.
Yeah.
Where is he at right now?
He's doing a good job, Adam. He's at a point right now where I think you're starting to see some more targets go his way. He's making big catches. And he's a big body guy. He's a physical type tight end, doing great in the run game. Love the way he practices. He's taken that next step. We had a slow start early on. I think you're going to just continue to see him kind of like last year. We got him going more and more, and I think you'll continue to probably see that this year with him. And Jimmy and Jesse have done a really good job too, because sometimes if you get too much, it can wear and tear on you a little bit throughout the season, whether it's just in practice or special teams, et cetera. But I love where he's at. I love his mentality, and I think he's going to keep growing.
Is rest the biggest benefit of the bye week? Because a lot of times teams say, well, we'll self-scout, we'll fix this, we'll fix that, but it seems like that's kind of overrated. Andy Reid was always really good after the.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before,
Yeah.
but in general, what are you hoping to get done? Is there anything you can fix in the bye week that is a problem now that won't be afterwards, or is it just about getting?
No, it's a little bit of both. I think we all got to reset a little bit, because sometimes we say you get into trees. You're in the trees, and you don't know really what's going on from a 30,000-foot view when others do. And I'm talking about tendencies. So the self-scout, you can really see where you're at, what you do well, what you don't do well, how you can get better, et cetera. So that's the one part. The other part, too, is making sure that you kind of reset and rejuvenate. That's why where we have this bye right now, right in the middle, is good. And now the hard part is anytime you go into a bye with a loss, it's not good. You don't like that, you know. So that's where we got to make sure that we do everything we can to self-scout, to get right, to study Baltimore, but also get physical rest.
What's the one thing you really want to, or really as a coach, without your players, are really going to focus on to try and get better at over the bye?
For me,
On the field, some on the field.
you know, probably the biggest thing is just, you know, continuing to, the thing that I love about our team that they showed last night, didn't reflect it in the win-loss column because we lost. But the thing I love about them is what the way they fought to the very end yesterday in that environment, keeping that going to where now you come back from this bye week and you're energized, you're rejuvenated, you feel good, you know you get guys back that maybe were a little bit beat up, you get healthy, and now you go for this run here, this final stretch of the season, you put it all together. And then for me to lead that and make sure that that's what we're doing, both mentally, physically, in the playbook, at practice, on game day. It takes that one win. And so I think it is good and it is healthy sometimes when you're together 24/7 all the time. I think it's healthy to get away for a little bit and then come back and get after it.
Thanks, man.